If there's one thing school children look forward to during the day, it's lunch, followed by recess. It's great to get outside when the weather is nice or run around the gym during the cold or rainy days and shake off some of that reading and writing and arithmetic with a good game of tag or shooting hoops. Recess doesn't just give kids a literal breath of fresh air and teachers a chance to eat lunch. It also helps students function better academically.
And what it is in particular is free time. And free time impacts cognitive, social, emotional, and physical parts of our brain. It impacts the way we think, the way we interact, the way we feel, and even brain architecture.
That's Dr. Gail Gross, a psychologist specializing in child development and families. She's also author of 2 upcoming books, How to Build Your Baby's Brain and The Only Way Out is Through.
Anything that reduces stress also impacts cortisol, the stress hormone. And children, we have found, develop intellectual constructs and cognitive understanding through manipulation with others, interaction with others, experiences that challenge them, but in a creative way, that they're experiencing without a specific structure, without a lesson plan or a learning experience. That it's just free time for the brain to just use itself as an orchestra to expand and take in the experiences of social as well as cognitive processing.
Gross says that it's that creative free time that makes recess different from running around in gym class or playing organized sports after school. It's the lack of structure during recess breaks that makes the difference.
Say you're playing tag or something competitive or whatever with a teacher instructing it, then there's a structure to it. And then that takes you away from your own interplay, your own unstructured cognitive task, which, if left alone, will diminish stress, whereas the other competitive event structured by a teacher can encourage stress. So the whole idea is for, in a sense, you to be distracted from your distraction and de-stress by the natural creative process that happens when you're just given recess, given a break from cognitive or structured processing.
Dan DeSorbo agrees. He is co-author and illustrator of the book Recess, From Dodgeball to Double Dutch, Classic Games for Players of Today. DeSorbo and Ben Applebaum compiled a book of games that today's kids' parents and grandparents would recognize, some with more modern variations. Even though there are rules for the games in the book, DeSorbo says they're just a starting point.
We actually like to think recess is unstructured playtime. I know it's kind of almost counterintuitive to the book, but what we do with the book is we just lay out sort of the ground rules for these games. We actually encourage, if you're playing this game, to add your own twists, add your own spins. We actually include tons and tons of different variations to switch it up. But yeah, we don't want it to be so structured. We actually encourage unstructured playtime and let the kids go out and just have fun and let them be. They'll be fine.
Recess doesn't have to involve a game or any physical activity at all. Gross says that some children prefer to spend time alone or with 1 or 2 friends engaging in their own creative pursuits.
You could sit and journal. You could play other friends. It's time to think, time to de-stress your brain, time to time down. We all need time down. When you're working, for example, and you're around other people, you're overstimulated. Or if you go to dinner, you're with friends for lunch, or whenever you're in a situation where you're on, so to speak, you're overstimulated. And the brain needs time down, where you're not putting out energy, but rather taking in energy, recharging. And that's what recess gives a child a chance to do, recharge. Hence, when they get back into their classroom, they are better able to concentrate, focus, and pay attention, and be more productive.
Even daydreaming out a window can be a form of recess. Gross says that it was for a very famous genius who developed some of our most important theories.
Einstein had a very bad job when he first got out of school. He was a brilliant student, but he was a brilliant student without attending his graduate classes. As a result, teachers weren't thrilled with him, and they didn't recommend him for any jobs that were worthwhile, and he worked in a patent office. And in that patent office, there was a large picture window. And of course, because he was so brilliant, he finished his work within a very short period of time, and he spent the rest of the day looking out of the window. And while he looked out of that window, he came up with three of the major theories that everything we do in our life is basically based on, including our microwave. So the brain needs time in. It doesn't mean it's fine if a child is social and wants to socialize, but introverts also need time in. And so recess is not just for the extrovert, it's for the introvert too.
DeSorbo says that there are physical pursuits kids can do all by themselves at recess, such as jumping rope, which can be quite a challenge if you get creative.
If you're by yourself jump roping, we have a bunch of different, I guess it's almost like tricks you would do. So you can, they call them double unders, where you try to jump twice, the crisscross, where you move your arms, there's a side swing. So, jumping rope by yourself, it's more like doing tricks.
Giving kids that free time to chill out and move doesn't have to cost a lot. Schools that don't have a lot of money for equipment don't need to worry. DeSorbo says that the old tried and true game of tag and all of its variations can be a great recess break for children.
It's one of the most simple games out there as well. Basically, it's funny, in the book we give it 2 pages, it's tag. But afterwards, when you consider all the different versions, there's actually probably another 30 different ways to play. So as a kid growing up, I would actually play a game called Catch the Carrier, which was similar. You wouldn't have a partner, it would be yourself. And you try to run away from everybody and keep that ball away while everybody tries to catch you.
Even in the classroom during the school day, Gross says kids should be able to move around to help them refocus their minds on the lessons they need to learn.
If the teacher understands the importance of movement and builds into the classroom a few minutes break between blocks of time for study, when I was a teacher, I used to tell the children after a little bit of studying, all right, stand up and stretch, move around, and then sit down and go back. And it helps because it moves your energy. It makes you more able to sit again. And therefore, in a sense, it clears your head. You can think better again.
Gross says that intermittent movement during the school day shouldn't take the place of recess, of that time for relaxation, creativity, and recharging. And it's not just for kids. Everyone who sits at a job for a long period of time should also get up and move around to clear their mind. DeSorbo agrees and says it not only clears out the cobwebs for adults, recess has other job-enhancing benefits.
We're going back to team building, cooperation, leadership. Those are all huge parts of recess. And I think maybe at a more of a top level, it kind of reduces some stress and pressure that you've been feeling throughout the day to do a good job. You might be less irritable after you have a good 30 minutes of just having fun. In my office, I have a little basketball hoop. We have a couple sets of different kinds of games that we'll just stop for 10 minutes and talk about work, but at the same time be playing something, and it actually helps boost your creativity.
Adults and kids will find many different types of games for all skill levels in Dan DeSorbo's book, Recess, available in stores and at chroniclebooks.com. To learn more about Dr. Gail Gross and her work with children and families, log on to her site at drgailgross.com. You can find her books, blog, and videos on topics important to families there as well. For more information about all of our guests, log on to our site at viewpointsonline.net. You can find archives of past programs there and on iTunes and Stitcher. Our show is written and produced by Pat Reuter. Our production directors are Sean Waldron and Reed Pence. I'm Marty Peterson.
This summer, distinctive island adventures, Caribbean vibes, and unrivaled natural beauty await you on the island of St. Lucia. This summer, St. Lucia rocks with sizzling deals for travelers, including free hotel nights and savings of up to 50% off room rates. Summer values also include a range of unique island experiences for families and couples alike. And in August, St. Lucia celebrates its rich centuries-long history of cocoa production with decadent deals during Chocolate Heritage Month. Visitors can toast the cocoa bean with inventive chalk tales, chocolate-infused spa treatments, cocoa plantation tours, and island-wide hotel and resort savings up to 50% off. Chef Nina Compton, St. Lucia's culinary ambassador, former Top Chef finalist, and owner of New Orleans' hottest new restaurant, Compère Le Pain, suggests,
Summer's a great time to try my favorite dish, cocoa braised short ribs. and some island-grown chocolate to celebrate St. Lucia's heritage and Creole culture.
So find out why St. Lucia rocks this summer at stlucia.org/summerrocks. That's stlucia.org/summerrocks.
If you're one of the nearly 30 million Americans with diabetes that regularly test their blood sugar, you rely on your meter to help you and your healthcare professional detect high and low blood sugar and make therapy and lifestyle adjustments. Now the new One-Touch Vario Flex meter with ColorSure technology takes the guesswork out of interpreting results. Endocrinologist Dr. Jeremy Pettis explains.
Many people with diabetes have difficulty making sense of their blood sugar results. The One-Touch Vario Flex meter has a simple color range indicator that uses blue, green, and red to instantly tell you when your readings are low, in range, or high. And for patients who want additional insights and information, the meter connects wirelessly with the One-Touch Reveal mobile app on iOS and Android devices.
Simple, accurate, and easy to use, the One-Touch VarioFlex meter is available now with an estimated price of under $20. One-Touch is the brand most recommended by endocrinologists and primary care physicians. To learn more, visit onetouch.com.
A new survey shows a staggering number of family and friends of people with Alzheimer's disease are jeopardizing their own family's health and financial stability. According to the Alzheimer's Association 2016 Alzheimer's Disease Facts and Figures report, nearly half of care contributors have to cut back on their own expenses and basic needs, such as food and medical care. Beth Kallmeyer is Vice President of Constituent Services for the Alzheimer's Association.
Very few people are prepared for the high cost of dementia-related care. More than one-third of care contributors experience significant lost income due to caregiving demands. For example, they must cut back on their own expenses, including basic necessities like food, transportation, and medical care.
Kallmeyer says families need to proactively plan for the financial impact of Alzheimer's and dementia. Planning tips and more about the 2016 Facts and Figures report are available at alz.org.